Hi, welcome back. Today we're going to be revisiting the unreleased footage of Kenny Veach's M-Cave hike. The reason why is because recently there have been some interesting findings and details which need to be analysed, which could hint at the possibility Kenny Veach was not alone on his hike. That's ranging from the mirror itself on his car, to strange footsteps whilst Kenny is sat down, and even the camera itself. I'm going to go through it bit by bit, break it down, analyse it, and give my opinion on the matter. Let's get into the footage right away. So, first things first, the mirrors on Kenny's car. There are 3 in total, obviously. You got the left wing mirror and the right wing mirror, which is partially hidden due to the angling of the car. You can kind of make it out there on the other side. As well, you've got the driver's mirror in the middle. The focus on this is trying to see, is there a possible reflection? Does it show the reflection of the tripod where Kenny stood? Is there anyone behind it? And from the angle of the mirrors and the reflection, it doesn't really show much. The only one that's visible is this one here on the left. So if we just zoom out, move on to the next slide and focus on the left wing mirror itself. When looking at the reflection of it, it doesn't really show much. It kind of looks greyish. Either it's the reflection of the sky, the clouds, or it's the reflection of what's behind, such as the mountains, the rocks within the canyon. Now, whether it be the angling of the vehicle itself, the question and kind of suspicion from some people is Kenny trying to hide something? Because already the way the vehicle's angled, the right wing mirror is out of view, the driver's mirror is at an angle, and it's just really the one on the left which looks like it's been kind of pushed forwards because of the reflection it's giving off. Surely if it was pulled in a bit more like how normal cars are, you would see the reflection of the tripod or something, I guess. So it looks like it has been pushed forward slightly, so it reflects something else in the distance. Does that make sense? Now, one thing I tried to do was like a comparison between Kenny's vehicle in one of his older videos when he was doing the house tour. You can see it on screen, that's the mirror. It is the right wing mirror. I couldn't find any footage of the left side of the car, okay? And then that's the mirror on the unreleased footage. So I just tried doing a side-by-side comparison between that, and this is what I got. It's not that great in terms of the quality. Just let me know what you think. Does it look like one's pushed back further than the other? Bear in mind the different sides of the car. The one on the right is of the left mirror. The one on the left is of the right mirror. Does that make sense? It sounds confusing as fuck, but basically it's the only shot and angle I could get. The one on the left isn't quite clear, but it's just trying to compare, because if the mirrors are at a different angle, like the one on the right has been pushed like inwards, forwards, then it would hint that he is hiding something. It might all be down to the way Kenny drives, the height of him, what he can see and stuff. You know, people have the preferences with adjusting the mirrors. It might not be anything, but let me know what you think in the comment section down below. So moving on to the next detail, another person was talking about hearing some kind of footsteps when Kenny Veach was sat down on the boot of his car, I think using a towel on his face. There's like crunching sound, like footsteps. Let's take a little look at that.
Get back. Get back. Get back.
I mean, I can imagine some people saying, oh, it's just the rustling sound of his clothing, the wind, the bag in the boot, who knows. But it sounds more of a crunching rather than rustling sound. And it does kind of sound similar to when Kenny Veach was walking into the camera view at the start of the video. So it'd hint towards the idea of footsteps. Okay, what's special about that? Well, some people could say it's Kenny Veach causing that noise, but he's kind of like sat down, or at least leaning on the boot, so he's not walking around. And those crunching sounds like someone who would be walking around, moving around while stood up. That's my opinion on that matter. You can tell me what you think. So if that being the case, it must mean there is somebody else there, stood up, stood near to the camera behind it, and they might have been just shuffling around, moving around, and it caught it on camera. So yeah, kind of strange. Now, moving on to the next detail, the camera itself. Now, the camera is attached to a tripod. That's what enables Kenny to be able to stand in front of the camera and talk. But the movement of the camera is slightly odd, because I believe at the 3-minute 47 mark, the camera ends up moving, and I think it ends up looking downwards. And then later on, past the 4-minute mark, it ends up moving again to the right, and then slowly moves back to the left. So it's on centre with Kenny Veach. Let's take a look at it right away.
Totally. I can just guzzle this. But I push myself way harder than I've pushed myself in a long time. It's kind of, I mean, it's a big freaking mountain range. It's a big giant mountain range. I just walk around.
So if you weren't able to see the movement, I'll replay it one more time, and I'll even zoom in and focus on one object, such as the back light on the car. Then you should be able to see it move away, the camera.
Totally. I can just guzzle this. But I push myself way harder than I've pushed myself in a long time. It's kind of, I mean, it's a big freaking mountain range. It's a big giant mountain range. I just walk around.
If you still can't see it, I did find another way of showing you. So as I said, you zoomed in, you get onto the slide, and then just look how it goes down and back up. Start from the beginning, goes down, and then slowly goes back up. Do you see? You see that movement? The camera's definitely moving. So as I'm rewinding it backwards and forwards, you can see it easily move. And then it goes back up slightly. And then if we move to the next scene on this side, can you see the camera move there? Why would it move? Maybe the wind. But then look, it kind of creeps back to the left again. Can you see? So a key point to take in consideration for the camera moving could be the wind, the weather, because you can hear it yourself, it's quite windy. You saw Kenny's hiking poles blow over too, so maybe the wind caused the camera to, move slightly. But what I would say, in my opinion, it's just a little bit odd how it causes the camera to move downwards to begin with, and then it goes back up again. And then later, it ends up blowing the camera more to the right, and then it slowly moves back to the left, like someone was readjusting it. So it was keeping Kenny in shot. That's what it seemed like to me. Someone was stood behind it, and because it went off direction, they had to guide the camera back so it was looking directly at Kenny. Now, the only other little detail I picked up on was when Kenny was walking towards the camera, the moment he grabbed it, his hand covered the lens like that. And the next thing you know, the camera's looking down at the ground, he rotates around, then pans up, and then you can see what's in the distance.
Let's see if I can. Ow, my legs hurt. Way. I start.
Now, it might not mean too much, but is there a possibility that when Kenny was walking towards the camera, he had to cover the lens and look down at the ground whilst it was recording because somebody was stood behind the camera? So then when Kenny Veach has got it in his hand, as he's rotating around to look ahead where the person was stood, that person rotates with him. So now they're behind Kenny and the camera. So Kenny can look ahead without any obstructions in the way. There's a small possibility. Now, the only thing I found towards the end of this clip was when Kenny was panning around and pointing with his finger, shortly afterwards, you can kind of hear like a male grunt or groan or something like, huh, like that.
From down there.
So, in conclusion, what I would say is there are certain factors which could simply explain the reasons, such as the wind, the weather causing the camera to move. But then again, you know, with it moving back into position, that's kind of odd. In terms of the rustling, crunching sound at the beginning, it definitely does sound like footsteps. It could be Kenny whilst he's sat down, his feet are going, his legs are moving around, and that's what's causing it. But he doesn't really seem to be moving much, so it could be someone else. And in terms of the mirror itself, visually it does look like it has been pushed forward for whatever reason, I don't know. Or maybe it's just simply preference. It works for Kenny in terms of when he's driving. That's the angle he has it at because it works for him. So it's all natural. As said, I tried doing a comparison with that other older picture, but it wasn't the clearest and it wasn't the best to show. So nevertheless, you know, it's not just one factor, one detail, one finding which could easily be shrugged off. It's like multiple within one clip in a short space of time. So, you know, it's fair to say you could come up with certain ideas and theories for whatever is the case. But as I said, you can tell me what you think in the comment section down below. And yeah, thanks for watching. See you in the next one. Goodbye.